That next man up mentality, it's a popular saying around football. It means that whoever's next up on that depth chart can step in anytime and make an impact. And you also need to be prepared at any time, because you never know when your name's going to be called.
Joe, get in there.
At Country Night at the Convo, a 45-point halftime lead allowed for a Wild West showdown between two young Ohio gunslingers in the second half, A.J. Brown and Elmore James.
With the loss, C.J. Stroud most likely played his final game as the Buckeyes quarterback. While some of the sports world will mention how Stroud, quote, never won the big games at Ohio State, his teammates and his coaches say that is absurd and that his shoulders should bear no weight of this loss. The Buckeyes spent their entire offseason building up their defense specifically for Michigan's ground attack. What they weren't expecting was the aerial assault that Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy would unleash on them with 3 touchdown passes. Those passes then opened up the run game for the Wolverines in the second half.
New kids on the block had a bunch of hits.
9 of them to be exact for the Ohio Bobcats basketball team, and 8 of them got the chance to make their debut Thursday night in their annual scrimmage against Capital.
Happy Halloween, everyone. I'm Joe Collins, and if you're watching during trick-or-treating, remember, look for those king-size candy bars. But let's talk about some sports, shall we? Gridiron Glory has entered the most wonderful time of the year. No, I'm not talking about Christmas. That would be the playoffs. Story of the weekend was the Eastern Eagles, who won the first home playoff game in Meigs County history. You heard that right, in county history. Things are indeed rocking in Reidsville as the Eagles used 274 yards on the ground to tame the Shadyside Tigers 34-6. Whatever your plans are for Tuesday night, don't worry, I got something better for you. It's the start of midweek action, so Ohio football gets set to host the Buffalo Bulls. The weather is getting colder, which means it's hockey season. Ohio hockey played games 3 and 4 of its absurd 21-game homestand this past weekend against the Pitt Panthers. The move to Division III hasn't shown any negative effects on the Bloom Carroll Bulldogs, as they knocked off top-seeded Sheridan 17-7 to earn a date with Bishop Watterson this Friday for the Region 11 title. That game will take place at DeSales High School in Columbus. Division V, the Ironton Fighting Tigers laid a licking on their rivals Portsmouth West, 35-7. Savoring Gridiron Glory Player of the Year candidate Ty Perkins made a late strong pitch for him to win the award with a 3-touchdown, 135-yard performance against the Senators.
Sunday afternoon at the Convo brought the final game of the Bobcat Battle Tournament, and the Ohio Bobcats looked to flex their muscles against the Alabama State Hornets. A big reason as to why they pulled away was the play of their senior guard.
For the 4 years Jeff Bowles has been the head coach of Ohio, Miles Brown has been part of his team. Over those years, he's continued to grow and get better offensively, defensively, and as a leader. Sunday afternoon against Alabama State, those aspects culminated in him winning the Bobcat Battle Tournament MVP.
With the score 31-23 with under 8 to go, Donovan Edwards takes the snap, a huge hole is made by the big boys up front, and a dagger to the heart of Buckeye Nation, 75 yards and a score. Later on, 3-on-2 opportunity for the Cats. Crash the net for rebounds and good things will happen. And does a hat trick sound good to you? Third of the night for Luke Reeve, and once again from Laker Aldridge. This was not the last time you'd hear from these two in the game. Saddle up your horses and get ready to ride. The Ohio Bobcats look to wrangle up the UC Clermont Cougars on a Western-themed night in Athens. The Bobcats came out guns blazing, quickly jumping out to a 9-point lead thanks to a plethora of points in the paint.
Ever since 2018, anyone who's been around Ohio soccer has heard these 2 words a lot.
Abby Townsend.
Abby Townsend.
Abby Townsend.
Abby Townsend.
Abby Townsend.
Abby Townsend.
There's a good reason for that. It's because ever since Abby Townsend donned the green and white back in 2018, she has been the standard for offensive prowess for the Bobcats.
Ohio hockey freshman Luke Reeve has made quite a name for himself in a short amount of time. Just 1 year ago, however, Reeve never knew he'd be playing for Ohio, let alone in another country. Reeve comes from Kingston, Ontario, Canada. There, like many places in Canada, hockey is king. He credits his hometown as being a huge influence on his love for the game.
We have like four rinks downtown, 3 just like around my house. It's just like, it's a huge thing in my hometown.
Long before Luke Reeve showcased his talents on the Bird Arena ice, he started playing where the hockey forefathers always intended it, with a stick, a pair of skates, and on Frozen Pond.
My mom's hometown, which is just in northern Ontario, I would skate on the outdoor rink there. Got like -40, so it's pretty chilly. But I remember like I grew up playing on that outdoor rink, and that kind of shaped me.
As Reeve grew older, he got the chance to play in various youth leagues. When Reeve turned 16, he turned over to junior hockey. which is the preferred route to play highly competitive hockey in both Canada and the United States. When Reeve turned 20, it became time to choose what he wanted to do next for his hockey career. His one friend and teammate told him about a college in the United States that was recruiting him to play club hockey. That was the Ohio Bobcats.
One of the guys who I came here with, Tommy Klebfer, he was on my team last year and he was getting recruited by Leo. And he kind of just asked me about what I thought about it. So I ended up coming for a visit here and I fell in love with it.
Reeve came onto campus as an international student and found it difficult at first to adjust. But luckily for him, he had 7 other teammates that came from the Great White North.
A lot of them are coming from the same background in hockey that I am. So they do the same kind of things that I do on a daily basis. It's really easy to work with them.
With how he's played so far, it's safe to say Reeve has fit in very well. And after getting to see his parents for the first time in a while just a week ago, Reeve is feeling even more confident and comfortable as he continues to adjust to Athens life and putting the puck in the back of the net for the Bobcats.
The running back room for Ohio is facing a difficult situation, as not one, but both of their top 2 backs went down with injury. Starting running back O'Shawn Allison suffered a season-ending shoulder injury just 1 week before the first game. In their first game, 6th-year back Julian Ross went down, elevating redshirt freshman C.A. Bangora to the starting position. But running back coach Brian Smith has installed a philosophy for times like these.
It's a philosophy of having the next person up and preparing the group for the depth. And that was something we did all summer long, of getting a lot of those guys good reps and work.
That next man up mentality, it's a popular saying around football. It means that whoever's next up on that depth chart can step in anytime and make an impact. And you also need to be prepared at any time, because you never know when your name's going to be called.
Joe, get in there.
Definitely a high and up there mentality for everybody around the field. Everybody's got to be ready whenever they're in practice or even in the game.
Well, then C.A. Bangora got injured, forcing even more roster change. That brought redshirt freshman Nolan McCormick into the fray, and just as Coach Smith taught, McCormick was ready for the challenge.
I think the coaches do a great job of preparing everybody on the depth chart. So, I just come and do the same thing every week and just making sure I stay ready for whenever my number's called.
This uncanny situation the Bobcats running back room found themselves in forced the Ohio coaches to make some changes. Some players were brought back, or in Quintel Quinn's case, switched positions. Normally a linebacker, Quinn is now a running back, and Coach Smith is impressed by how he's been able to make the hard transition.
The offense, as far as transitioning positions in season, is challenging, and learning everything we do after it's already installed is hard. He's done a great job of staying after practice, meeting extra, trying to get caught up.
Even with all of these injuries and change, the Bobcats running backs know that you can't make excuses, and the rest of the way now, it's all about that next man up mentality.
Be sure to stay tuned with Bobcat Showcase Saturday, as we will have full coverage of the 26th edition of the MAC Championship game from Ford Field. Reporting alongside Aiden Crowley for Bobcat Showcase. From Detroit, Michigan, I'm Joe Collins.